The fact that the only reason Michael Bohacek will be willing to do the right thing is because he was personally offended because President Trump insulted his family in an attack against Governor Tim Walz in Minnesota. The whole thing is just a mess. Hey, what's up there, Forward Up Newsies? I'm Skylar Ryder here. Glad to be back with you. And yeah, so I don't know. Okay, first of all, I just want to say this channel, I am an unabashedly a progressive, right? Call me a lefty, whatever you want to call me, right? But that said, I really want this channel to be a channel for anybody who has like independent thought and wants independent news and commentary that is rooted in truth and fairness and equality, and just wants to get out of like that corporate media bubble, right? That said, I have a question for Republicans. I don't want y'all to take this as like me coming at Republicans any kind of way, because that's not what this is. But I find it really odd, from what I've seen, Republicans tend to have a hard time putting themselves in the shoes of other people, and they don't really understand sometimes, and this isn't everybody, but just, you know, if this bothers you, then a hit dog will holler, I guess, but this ain't about that. A lot of Republicans and conservatives, they seem to have a hard time connecting to an issue until that issue directly impacts them. We've seen it with the likes of Meghan McCain, like when she was a co-host on The View. You know, she didn't really support parental leave for everybody, for parents, until she herself not only became pregnant, but then there were difficulties that arose from that pregnancy and childbirth that required her to take an extended leave. And so after she went through that experience, now all of a sudden, you know, she's like, oh, I'm for parental leave or whatever, right? We have another example of that with Indiana State Senator Michael Bohacek. I hope I'm saying his name right.
Hi, I'm Mike Bohacek. I represent Senate District 8.
Michael Bohacek is an Indiana State Senator who is now coming out saying that he will not vote in favor of President Trump's plan to, you know how Trump wanted all these states like do all this redistricting to sort of give Republicans an unfair advantage. It started with Texas, and Texas is going through the whole redistricting thing. Now California has just passed a proposition to counteract that in the state of California to get more Democrats. You know, so now you're having all these other states trying to hop in on the bandwagon, you know, of redistricting their states to either give a lead to conservatives or to give a lead to liberal Democrats. It depends on the state. Every state's not doing it. It started with Texas, then California responded. Now other states are jumping in the mix. And apparently Indiana is in that mix for the Republicans. And State Senator Michael Bohacek is now saying that he won't support a measure to gerrymander their state's districts in favor of Republicans, not because it's the right thing to do to reject that, not because he believes in democracy and that everyone should have equal and you know, should have a right size representation in their federal government based on their population. Not because he believes in democracy or anything like that, but because President Trump said something, used a slur for people with Down syndrome, and he just so happens to have a child with Down syndrome. So because President Trump insulted his family, he's not going to support Trump's call for redistricting in Indiana. And I just find that so highly problematic for so many reasons. It's like, okay, on the one hand, yeah, you're voting no against this gerrymander, which in my personal opinion, you know, shouldn't even be legal. The fact that we're going down this like descent to hell just to try to outdo Republicans trying to outdo Democrats, trying to outdo Republicans, trying to outdo Democrats, trying to pick your voters instead of letting your voters pick you. Like, all of that aside, the fact that the only reason Michael Bohacek will be willing to do the right thing is because he was personally offended because President Trump insulted his family in an attack against Governor Tim Walz in Minnesota. The whole thing is just a mess. So this is basically what happened. Here's what happened. So on Truth Social the other day, Trump wrote that he wanted to do a permanent pause on all immigration. And then he went ahead to drag the Somali community within Minnesota. Minnesota has a heavy immigrant community, particularly of people from Somalia, like folks like Ilhan Omar, representative, federal representative in Congress there. And in this Truth Social post, Trump went on to say, without evidence, mind you, that there was like gangs patrolling the streets in Minnesota. And then he went on further to say, quote, and I'm just going to say R word, y'all. I don't like using the word if y'all like, I'm not saying y'all, actually, no, don't use the word, period. But he said, quote, the seriously R-worded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing either through fear, incompetence, or both. Now, obviously, for Trump, that was like a low blow for him to say just period, regardless, right, of whoever, whatever was going on. But Bohacek, he's coming out against the redistricting because he feels like, well, now you've insulted my family. And now here's the thing. For all we know, State Senator Bohacek could have already been against this redistricting plan and wanted to vote against it. And he just needed some sort of an out because he's too much of a punk to just come out and just stand on the right side of history and to defend democracy in and of itself. So maybe he's using this as his jumping off point for him to be able to do that. Okay, fine. But with the message that sends is that you only care about this because it affects your child, because you have a child with Down syndrome. And, you know, those that don't know Down syndrome, you know, that condition that when you have an extra chromosome, look it up. And, you know, in the past, I believe it was actually initially like a medically accepted term to say the R word. You don't know what I mean? Just Google it because I'm not about to say it. And then over time, it became like an insult people would use, right? Kids would use it against you. Oh, you're so R word. You're such an R word, blah, 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 blah. And now it's sort of become like a slur, right? So you just don't say it if you have any kind of decency, in my opinion. And so now Bohacek is like, oh, well, now I'm going to stand up against this redistricting thing not because Democrats deserve equal, you know, deserve representation in the state, not because people of other parties deserve representation of the state, but because I'm personally offended because I have a child who has Down syndrome. I'm sorry. I don't understand what it is. I tend to see it more in Republicans where there's like either this inability or this where there's either this inability or this desire to just not care about what anybody else has going on and to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I just think it's really sad that this is an example of that. You know, but, you know, I guess it is what it is. There's going to be another meeting with state legislators, in Indiana. They're going to be considering the redistricting measure that's currently up for them to sort of discuss through and talk through. Although earlier this month, there actually weren't enough votes to pass it. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Honestly, I want this whole redistricting cake to just stop. It's not fair to democracy. It's not fair to the Democrats and it's not fair to non-Republicans in Texas when they did it. And if I'm being completely honest, it's not fair to Republicans in California that now are not going to have less representation because of passing that law. And I understand the reasons behind doing it to counteract Texas and this, that, and the other, but just in this gerrymandering thing, it's not working. It's a road to nowhere. All of that said, let's get to what you can do about it, because like we always say here at Forward Up News, we like to give you the news, but also the tools and resources to do something with it. Okay, so if you're looking for resources on Down syndrome, a good resource that I found is the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. That's the DSRF, and you can visit them at dsrf.org. They have a lot of good resources for people with Down syndrome, parents who have children with Down syndrome, and so on. So, we see here on the homepage, help children with Down syndrome flourish for life. They got a lot of programs, services, group programs, individual services, virtual office portal, just a bunch of good stuff, events, workshops, things like that, resources, just a lot of really good things to look at if you or someone either has Down syndrome, a parent who maybe just found out that they're pending their pregnancy, their child is going to have Down syndrome, or if you just like someone with Down syndrome in your neighborhood that you just want to be a better community member with them, right? This is a good place to start. So again, that's the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation, the dsrf.org. You can check out their website, ways to contact them. You can also donate if you want to contribute. They even have a cool thing, even like stuff like COVID-19, right? That's something you might really want to pay attention to, especially now that we're in that season. So yeah, just a lot of stuff. And again, great ways to support the DSRF, sponsorships, donations, leave a gift in your will. You can also volunteer with them. So yeah, check them out. That's the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation, also known as DSRF. And again, you can visit them at dsrf.org. Again, that's dsrf.org. All right, Forward Up Newsies, that's all we got for you today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. How do you feel about Indiana State Senator Michael Bohacek not giving a damn about democracy until his family is personally insulted by the president on his own little social media platform? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about this gerrymandering business just in general? And also, if have you worked with the DSRF, the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation? And if so, leave your thoughts down below. It's a great organization. Have you found it helpful? Let us know down below in the comments. Follow us on our social media pages. You could also follow me, but you'd also follow this channel at Forward Up News on pretty much all social media platforms. So, Twitter, TikTok, Blue Sky, Spill. You follow us at Forward Up News, and of course here on YouTube, follow us here as well. Okay, that's all we got for you this time. Like we always say here on the channel, be good to yourself, be good to others, and if you can't do that, then shut the heck up. Like, what are you even doing? It's not that hard to be nice to people. It's really not. Be kind. Rewind. That's what they used to say, I think, with the video. Anyway. Until next time, Newsies. Peace.
Have you been in space?
No, motherfucker.